Holy shnikes, what in the heckin' world do we have here? It's a 1980 Scirocco. It's got big old mates on it. A body kit from a HILLCLIMB series. It's got squiggly words all over it. With a motor from a Formula car, the whole car just screams, hey, I do what I want. And I love it. Today, we are going bumper to bumper on the $1 million Scirocco. This is a 1980 Volkswagen Scirocco, and it might honestly be my favorite car ever. I'm a Volkswagen guy to the core. One might call me a dubber. I've owned tons of them. But of all the Volkswagens that I have seen on Instagram, on the streets, at car shows, on VW Vortex, I have never seen anything like this. Every aspect of this build, from the engine to the hand-painted livery, unite to serve the same purpose. And that purpose is to break convention, to make you think. How often does a car do that? It was built by Jason Whipple, one of the co-founders of Rotiform Wheels and fellow Volkswagen super nerd. He actually bought a Scirocco for me last year. It's in much better hands. Jason bought this car 9 years ago with the intention of turning it into a fun track car. In fact, when he bought it, it was already a pretty capable track car. It was originally built by Mike Potterman Potter, the owner of parts4vws.com. If you're a Volkswagen nerd, you know that site. And it was featured in European Car Magazine in 1989. That's 6 years before Post Malone was even born. When Jason got the car, it was running an 8-valve, 4-cylinder ABA motor that you'd find in a 3rd-gen Golf. It had some goodies on it and made a totally respectable 140 horsepower, which in a car that basically weighs 3.5 pounds is plenty of power. The previous owner had thrown a bunch of suspension parts at it, and Jason says that it was pretty sweet. So, naturally, he did what any of us would do. He immediately ripped it apart and ruined it. He spent the next 9 years chipping away at this build whenever he could. The more Jason started working on the Scirocco, the more he wanted to do to it. All those little tweaks and changes in plans added up to this thing. A car that I believe to be a legitimate work of art. To me, the engine is almost as wild as the paint, and the reason that I got so excited about it when Jason first posted this car on VW Vortex like 9 years ago. What you see here is a motor from a US F3 Formula car. US F3 was a short-lived open-wheel racing series that used a special spec engine. Now, Jason knew that these were based on Volkswagen motors, and when the series went under, he scoured the classifieds and found 2 of them collecting dust in the back of a warehouse somewhere. The block is from a very low-volume Audi that was only sold in Europe. It's all aluminum. Then he had custom high-compression pistons made by JE, and they produce an impressive 14-to-1 compression ratio. In short, that means that this thing sounds crispy, especially when you factor in the fact that it revs to 8,500 RPM. Now here's where things get a little crazy and where the motor reflects the theme of the rest of the car. Yes, it is insane to take a motor out of an open wheel race car and shove it into 35-year-old Volkswagen. But since this engine was designed to sit in the back of said Formula car, it wasn't expected to have one of these, a hood. As it stood, the intake would have stuck out 6 inches from the top of the hood. Now, most of us would say, oh, cool, let's do that. It would look sick. But Jason is not like the rest of us. He cut it up. Jason had to cut, reposition, and weld this very rare intake back together. What's he gonna do? Cut a hole in his hood? No. What might seem wrong or a pain in the ass at first sometimes ends up being the right path. The intake is topped with a custom carbon fiber plenum, which pressurizes the air entering the motor, improving airflow and performance. Jason estimates that this engine makes around 180 horsepower, which ain't bad. And it sounds sick. As I mentioned before, Jason is like peak car nerd, and possibly the nerdiest car nerd thing in the world is the BERG Cup HILLCLIMB series in Europe. They race everything from XDTM cars to open wheelers. Jason spent many a night watching hill climb clips on the YouTube. He knew that his car had to look like the ones on his computer screen. The one characteristic that all BERG Cup cars share is huge fender flares to accommodate the fat meats underneath. When he got the fenders, he color matched them to the Scirocco, took the bumpers off, painted his side markers, and threw the kit on. The arches fit perfect around the tires and wheels. The process for choosing the wheels was an arduous one, until one day he remembered, hey, I own a wheel company, duh! Now Jason has fitted a number of wheel sets over the years, including Rotiform SJCs. They all looked good, but they didn't quite suit the car just right. Eventually, he landed on these, fully polished, 15-inch Rotiform BUCs. They round off the theme well. They have old school motorsport influence, but they're shiny. This whole car is such a beautiful contradiction. Hey, I'm a race car. I'm a painting. What am I? Screw you, Dad. I wish I was never born. But I do wish I was born because now I get attention and I'm beautiful. Feels good to be back in a Scirocco. The theme of the car continues into the interior. Now remember, Jason didn't intend for this car to end up as an art car. It's a fully armed operational battle station. It's a track car, and every decision in here reflects just that. The stack dash display tells you everything you need to know, just like up to speed. This Alcantara Scirocco wheel gives you a place to put your hands. This shift knob is awesome. I ordered one for my car. The seats are there to keep you in place, and the Scirocco belts and 6-point roll cage keep you alive. If this interior wants me to do anything, it makes me want to go fast. To hell with the speed limit. F you! Looking around, you can start to see that this isn't some pristine show car. You can see the seams where the floorboards meet the firewall. The floor itself has strips of grip tape on it. There's so few things in this interior that I can probably name them all on two hands. Let's do this. Okay, steering wheel, dash, stack display. I'll say switches are 1. Shifter, shift knob, seats, roll cage, electric steering fuel pump, fuel cell, pedals. Crap. Almost. Obviously, the most eye-catching part of this entire build is the paint. The artwork was done by Los Angeles-based artist Nico Sclater, AKA Ornamental Conifer. He's done everything from fancy gallery work to helmets for Daniel Ricciardo and Ryan Turk, and he's the art director of Race Service. Jason originally approached Nico in hope of commissioning a skateboard with the Rotiform logo on it, but Nico wasn't interested in doing something on a small scale at the time. Once they got to talking, you know, like bros do, Nico told Jason that he used to drive a Volkswagen Caddy when he lived back in Angler. Jason mentioned the Scirocco and showed Nico some pictures. Nico knew immediately that he wanted to paint that car. Conifer asked for full creative control when it came to the scheme, and Jason gave it to him. This was the result. It's a vibrant and mesmerizing cacophony of rainbow gradients, tape mask grid lines, and half-painted lettering. Scrolled on the wheel arches is a simple and powerful message. The future is our fault. A simple reminder that both action and inaction have consequences. That's pretty heavy, especially for a car as built as this one. The blur effect is meant to make people stop, maybe believe that their phone is taking too long to load a picture. These are not phrases you see painted on race cars, if you see phrases at all, but that's how Conifer does things. Seeing this car in person is a totally different experience than seeing it in pictures. In person, you can see brush strokes in the paint. There was always gonna be imperfections, and that's what makes it human. Nico didn't even clear coat it, but that's part of it. I was talking on the phone with Jason, you know, because we're friends, and he said something that really resonated with me. That this world we're living in, where every SEMA build has to be perfect and pristine, is dumb. And he's right. If everything is perfect, then it loses what makes it unique. Look at the door handles on this car. They have visible wear. I think they're original, but we don't know. Because there's no records of it. This car wasn't restored, and it was built how Jason wanted it, not how he thought other people would want it. Thanks to Fixed for sponsoring this episode of Bumper to Bumper. Fixed is an onboard diagnostic reader for your car. It translates complex car issues into easy to understand info that is sent straight to an app on your phone. It's an affordable alternative to other more expensive OBD2 readers, which can give you less information for more money. With Fixed, you get live data and in-depth diagnostics sent right to your phone without all the hassle of going to a mechanic. And it reminds you when your car is due for maintenance. Thanks again, Fixed. Thanks for watching Donut Media. I cannot tell you guys how grateful I am that you like these videos. We're almost at 2 million subscribers. I cannot believe that. That is bonkers. Follow me on Instagram at James Pumphrey. Follow Donut on Instagram at Donut Media. I'm gonna make this show every Tuesday till the day I die. Every Thursday, check out this episode of my other show, Up to Speed. Check out this episode of my son Nolan's show, Wheelhouse. Big thanks to Jason from Rotiform for letting us borrow his car, and for Nico, AKA Ornamental Conifer, for talking to us on the phone. This is really great. I love you.